Government sources have now told NDTV that in order to speed up the approvals for Pfizer, Moderna in India, they're ready to grant them indemnity from liability, which means that companies like Moderna, Pfizer, who apply for emergency use, will be granted protection against legal proceedings along the lines of what's been granted elsewhere as well. The other key waiver: no need for the India-specific trials to be carried out if you have an approval by the WHO for emergency use. So these companies don't have to conduct post-launch bridging trials in the country. But to understand this in detail, let's go across to Vishnu. So Vishnu, this is good news for the moment, but what does it tell us about the timelines on these vaccines?
Very simply, Sonal, it tells us nothing about the timeline on these vaccines. That's because these vaccines may simply not be present in the numbers that India really wants to bring in to import. There's also the entire cost of the entire issue of how much it's going to cost. Remember, vaccines like Pfizer cost more than $35 a dose. So therefore, if it's going to be imported by the centre, is the centre actually willing to pay this amount of money? And if so, for what quantity? What has happened really is clarification as far as the policy is concerned. For several months, Moderna and Pfizer, among others, have said, look, please indemnify us. In other words, if there is legal action against us in India, then we want to be protected against that legal action. That sets us back. The government thus far has said, no, if there is a problem, for example, with the medication, people fall unwell, if they go to a court, then you cannot be protected from that. The counter argument from Pfizer has been, no, look, it's the case in so many other parts of the world, and it now appears that the centre has agreed, which really does beg the question, if you've agreed now, why didn't you agree earlier on, particularly since vaccines were always in short supply? The second key aspect of all of this, there are supposed to be simultaneous bridging trials as per the new rules, which were to take place after a vaccine like Pfizer or Moderna could come in. So earlier on, they had to actually have trials first, be approved in India. Then the government said that no, if we grant you emergency use authorization, you can come to India, simultaneously do trials. Now that requirement for trials doesn't exist. So it is a step forward, but are we any closer to knowing when some of these vaccines come in? No.